I'm Ross.
And I'm Cole, and this is Comedians
In Cars.
Getting
Coffee. Podcast.
Podcast.
Oof. Nailed it. First try. Alright, what do we have here? Got my notes out. Ready to rock and roll.
This is a 1976 Lamborghini Countach LP400 in Tahiti blue with a tan interior. The idea of this car, I think,
I'm
is
still
to
loving the
pull up
music
in it,
in this
and
episode.
you are taking over the scene. Jim is an unforgettably gifted comedian and comic actor.
As many times as I have seen this, I've never noticed he's wearing a Freddy shirt.
Oh yeah, and I made some notes about what he's wearing.
Oh, go ahead. Well,
Give it a minute.
Can
We're
you
not there
imagine
yet.
anybody
After he
else
gets over the
even
fence,
trying to do
I'll
Ace
show you.
Ventura, The Mask, or Dumb and Dumber? Forget it. Don't even
Okay,
make the movies.
I need to pause. He says forget it, but can you imagine anyone else doing Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber?
oh no.
No? There's no one else who could do those roles? Is there a modern actor who could be equivalent?
We don't have actors that are this talented today.
No, we don't really do.
Even
They're
Jim
all so
Carrey,
simple.
even Jim Carrey is not as talented as Jim Carrey in the 90s.
That's pretty true.
I
Isn't it like
don't know what it is, but
Like maybe not so The Mask I think is very like it's Jim Carrey. Maybe Ace Ventura too, but like like Chris Farley or
that was during the same time period.
I know, but like could he not have been like an Ace Ventura? I could have seen it. Maybe not like goofy enough, but I think he could have done justice with the character. I guess Ace
Yeah, I
Ventura
really don't
is
think
Jim
so.
Carrey. That's okay. Well, I guess you're right. And we're back.
I don't think so, Tim.
Jimmy, it's Jerry. Jerry,
How about that interior color though?
remember we talked
never
about
keep it
going
clean.
out for a cup of coffee? Oh my God, is that today? Is this today? Of course today is today. Today's always today. Yeah, no. I'm good. I sleep in my clothes. I'll be right out.
I really love these phone calls every time because
I was gonna say, what a unique way to start the podcast. Like it's like the first step into the story here, where we're introduced to our protagonists. It's through this phone call that is seemingly off the cuff. Like, oh, is that today? But you think that? No, it's not practiced. It is just an off the cuff call. It must be. There's no script for that.
they know that it's gonna. Okay, so I think that like Jim knows, or maybe like Jerry said, I'm calling you now, so
Yeah,
we're
gonna call.
recording this, and then Jim has something prepared to say, but at the same time, is it possible that they're like literally just already in studio and they're like, okay, we're gonna film this thing
I think.
and add
I don't know if it
later?
happens while he's in the car, but I think Jerry picks up his cell phone, calls them, and then just that's the recording. Like I think that he's good enough friends with these people that they can it's just like, hey, how's it going? Like, we're doing Comedians in Cars today. They just
And
go
I
record.
really love the responses. Okay, so they know the call's coming, and all of these guests are comedians.
Yeah.
And so each and every one of them is going to try to come up with some type of unique excuse, or not excuse, but unique answer to Jerry.
Yeah.
And I really like Jim's. Oh, is that today? Don't worry, I sleep in my clothes. I'll be right there.
I'm gonna use that.
But
like that.
I always like. So imagining it as a real life phone call, I always wonder what celebrities, especially comedians and actors, if they get a call like this to go do something, like what are they doing on their average day? If
Well,
they're
I
not
can tell you what
filming
Jim
or
was
not
doing.
working.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you what Jim was doing
paint- What?
because I made
meditating.
notes about it. Okay, here we go.
Oh yeah.
I feel.
Does the
I mean,
door work?
obviously, I wrote.
Yeah, it works.
But Jim Carrey, he just can't be normal. He's got to climb the gate. He has to do
Nuts.
something.
Did you
He's
ever think
thinking, what can I
about
do
the
that's going to
Barney
make
Fife sniff?
Jerry Seinfeld laugh? And he goes over the gate. That's the move. That's how you make Jerry Seinfeld laugh. He's seen it all, but not that. Beautiful thing. And you are gone. I've lost you. I'm expecting something great here.
I'm sorry. I had to. The sun was shining straight into my eyes.
That's okay. That's a reasonable thing to do. But the lighting is all wrong now. The lighting's fine. He's got to go over the fence.
I,
What an interesting thing for him to do. Because he's a funny enough guy. Like he doesn't need to do that to be funny, but I feel like he's got this.
He was a funny enough guy. I am so just baffled, and I don't know, by Jim Carrey.
He's
I cannot
still funny. He's just
fully understand how. Well, he has the ability to be funny, but he's so just depressed and out there and just like stuck in his mind that it's got to take a lot of energy for him to come up with just jokes on the fly and pretend to be happy.
Yeah, I think he can regress to his physical comedy a lot easier than he can to like that mental. So it's a lot easier for him to just be like, oh, I'll just fucking flip over the fence. Oh, is this a PG podcast? I probably shouldn't swear. We can bleep that out in post.
Bleep that in post. Hey, post guy, bleep that.
No, so I think it's a lot easier for him to revert to, I'm just gonna like dump myself over this fence like a goofy Ace Ventura kind of guy, rather than have to like open the gate and say, "Hey Jerry, how are you?" And, like, be funny.
Well, there's one sentence in this whole episode that captures
I wrote it down. Is
all
it
of Jim.
death
Yes,
is a relief?
It is. No, gosh.
Damn.
No, it is something that Jerry says about Jim. Jim Carrey is talking about a new film that he's doing. Or no, well, you know what? Well, let's just hit play, because it's right up here.
Oh, yeah. Getting ready.
That was the whole character,
Ready to
wasn't
tell
it?
you.
All right. Now this is where I talk about what he's wearing. It's gonna take us a long time to get through this
Yeah.
episode, but so I look at this. You know what he was doing while he was waiting for Jerry to come? Maybe he's not at a studio, but he was painting. He's got paint all over him. Paint on the shirt, paint on the shorts, paint on the shoes. He's dressed like he was just painting. He doesn't give a shit.
I don't think he was painting.
These are his clothes. Well, maybe he just always wears painting clothes, but there's paint all over those clothes. So maybe they go to the studio after, and that's where he ends off. So maybe he just wanted to be like ready to rock and roll.
You know what? You might be right. He might be picking him up from the studio right now. That doesn't look like a studio.
No. So I think
Who knows?
he starts at his home and ends at the studio. And he's like, well, I'm not going to bring a change of clothes.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
So he like puts on his painting shit so that when he gets, bleep that out in post, so that when he gets to the studio, he's good to go. And he's also most comfortable at his core when he's painting. So that's what makes him comfortable.
1976 Lamborghini Countach. They called it that because that was what people exclaimed
When you blow past them in traffic. Countach!
Shut up.
It is funny. It's a good joke.
Ooh, baby. Oh, yeah, baby.
Look how he sits. That alone is just such a unique.
Fantastic.
Well, he is a tall guy, and he's in a Lamborghini.
Barney Fife
Yeah,
was
but
ego
he's got his
with
knees
nothing
to his
back it
chest.
up, and I always think
Really?
that's the funniest.
That's the funny.
Yeah,
character.
it is weird.
And yet somehow that confidence
And he's
that arrogance
cooling his
wins
genitals
in
with
the
his water
Who
bottle.
else for you was in a special category?
end. I love David Letterman. He was big in my life. It's so
All right, what do
funny
we have
because
coming
he's
up
such
here?
a crank too. I think it was the second, maybe
gosh.
third time I was on. I hadn't been back there for quite a while. Maybe
How was David Letterman? How did he ever get to be a talk show host? Because, well, hold on one sec.
We have the tools at our disposal.
like that. And during the commercial, he leaned over to me after we had just had the most incredibly wonderful time together on camera. He leaned over to me and he said, "So why haven't you been here in 3 years? Is it me?"
He was a weatherman, moved to Los Angeles, became a writer for a CBS show, and then, he made a guest appearance on Mork and Mindy, made his way kind of onto the scene. And there you go.
But there's one thing that Jim said during that. Jimothy, can I call him Jimothy? That Jim Carrey said during that he should not be a talk show host for this reason. And it's the reason I don't like him, or not a big fan of him, and I don't think he's very good at his job, but Jim Carrey just summed it all up in one word, and he said, yeah, I love him because he's such a crank. You cannot be a crank, be an old grumpy guy and kind of nasty towards everyone else and in a bad mood all the time, and move up in that industry. I don't know if it was different during the time that he did
Well,
it.
you know what? He made it pretty far, but that's actually why he had his issues with NBC, right? Like, he didn't play the game like Leno could play the game.
Yeah,
But I
how
still
do you- how did
appreciate
he
him.
get all the way there?
Because he's funny.
He got all the way there. He passed the finish line,
'Cause
and now
he's funny.
he's doing his. Once you get your Tonight Show, you pass the finish line. You're just doing your cool down run.
I mean, I
after
gotta be
that.
honest with you, Cole. I think David Letterman's. I think he's hilarious. I'm a big fan. I have no concerns with Letterman.
Why?
Crank him
How?
up. He's an entertaining guy.
Why?
He's dry. He's sarcastic. He's quick. He's sharp as a knife. That guy.
My 6th grade reading teacher was quick and really mean.
Okay.
always got in trouble.
Well, you. I
Shout
think
out
you
to
just.
Mrs. Harold.
I wanted to bring up. He said that he really looked to as a kid Barney Fife, right? I thought,
Yeah.
I'm a young guy. Who the hell's Barney Fife? I googled it. From the Andy Griffith Show, played by Don
it's
Knotts,
the deputy,
the deputy.
right?
And man, you look
Deputy.
at one photo of this guy, and he just looks funny. Like he
Oh,
just
yeah.
looks like a funny
Now,
guy, and I
That's
totally see.
entertaining.
I
He
see the
was-
resemblance. You know, like you can tell he's just physical, and that's
Yeah.
very similar, I think, to to like Jim Carrey's sensible humor.
Which
Right.
is what I will get to after I think Jerry's about to say right
Is
here.
it me? Let me out!
Okay,
Who's knocking on the fourth wall there?
I took a note for this because I thought it was really interesting. I like the knocking on the fourth wall bit. It's funny, it's unique, whatever. But Jim Carrey has enough respect and understanding for filmmaking, for the business, that he did not actually knock on the camera lens. He knocked on the window and pretended to knock on the camera lens. And it works perfectly, right? Because otherwise his hand would be getting like way up too close. But I just found it really unique. He must have practiced that bit or done that bit before. Because
You don't think that's common sense?
common sense, no. Like I could just go like this. It doesn't work.
I didn't hear anything though. He knows that if he knocks on the camera, it's not gonna pick up the sound, which is why
I'm
he's
telling you,
knocking
but
on the
he's a
little window.
genius. He gets it. I would never have thought to do that. Never. To go like knock, 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 knock. I have nothing to hit.
I used to pretend punch my sister in public all the time, or slap her, and we would do that by like if you're in like the store and you like pretend you're punching her, but then you slam your foot on the ground.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you just punched her real hard, and then people like look and they're like, "Oh, did he just hit her?" And then like she would start like fake crying and stuff. So that's what I
And
thought.
that's
of
how I got
immediately
my
when he
first
started
mugshot.
knocking like that.
Either way, genius.
Amazing, it really is real.
Oh, perfect.
I had a McLaren
Probably.
for a little while, yeah. It was too fast for
I cannot believe this. What he just
What?
said, that he had a McLaren.
Yeah. Why can't
And
you believe it?
depending on the year, I would assume would blow away this Lamborghini, which is why Jim Carrey's just not impressed.
I think Jim Carrey seems impressed. He likes the car.
I don't think what he is. No, even if it was the coolest car in the world, he wouldn't care because he's an anti. He's not non-materialistic. He's anti-materialistic.
Sure, but he drives a Tesla. So
Yeah.
riddle me that. He could have bought a Prius or a Nissan Leaf, but he bought the nicest electric vehicle, not the cheapest.
Does it not go farther than those other two?
Do you think he needs to go far?
He is. Oh gosh, what word does he say? He's non-locational these days, or something like that.
He's everywhere. Yeah, I don't know. I think he likes the car. I mean, I don't know if he's a car guy.
I'm driving a Tesla. I love the Tesla.
They said that as the Tesla
I like
pulled.
burning
That's a lot of
stuff.
symbolism there. I never
You're
noticed that.
breathing what you're burning, baby.
It's like out with the old, baby.
Correct.
I feel we need to give it some airtime here.
Also, you know what's really ironic? Has this happened to you? Arizona ran out of gas, like as 2 weeks ago.
No, I think that's maybe happened once or twice, but no, that doesn't really happen to us.
All over the place. Circle K, fries, same thing. Also QT. Running
Okay.
out of gas. Just don't have it.
Well, yeah, that happens occasionally.
Yeah, but it's been like 2 weeks at least.
Still no gas. Who has the gas?
We have so, a lot of possibilities. Kind of an interesting thing that I haven't done research on yet that I'm going to eventually get to the bottom of it. But
I mean, there's a disruption in the supply chain. That's usually a good
well,
thing.
there's always multiple reasons. Some more
Drive up the
public
price,
than
baby.
others. Some more public than others. I mean, if we want to go to a real extreme, that is possible, but not probable. Could be, what if Elon is taking hostage all the gas trucks before they can deliver? So everyone's got to buy a Tesla. That's a possibility.
I read something about that. I'm pretty sure you're right. That's exactly what happened.
But there's so many things that could be the reason behind it. But I'm just saying, for the idea of literally right now we're looking at a Lamborghini followed by the words, "We love breathing what you're burning, baby," with a Tesla driving in front of it.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
It is, I just thought it was kind of interesting.
I'm tearing up.
See, I like
Yeah.
burning stuff.
We love breathing what you're burning, baby.
Oof. Baby. He's still quick.
I'm fairly non-localized these days.
So non-localized.
Non-localized.
means It doesn't matter where you are.
I'm everywhere.
You're everywhere.
He's in your bathroom.
Jerry, you
He's
are
in my
full of
dreams.
testosterone.
Jim, get out of my closet, man.
For a
He's
21
always
day.
in there.
Yeah, this is my 21st day of a cleanse.
No, Jim
I
does-
found this
Jim does not
very
exist.
interesting.
You should have seen me.
I'm gonna pause this again. It's gonna take us a freaking hour to get through this, but I looked up the Jim Carrey
Hey,
cleanse.
podcast.
Yeah, you're right. I looked up the Jim Carrey cleanse because he said I'm on the 21st day of a cleanse. And I thought, man, that's like a hell of a cleanse, right? Wow.
What is he on? Keto or what?
So
What?
he has a
Go ahead.
tweet from the 21st of February, 2013. Now, I don't know if that's when this is
Wow,
being
he did your
filmed,
digging.
but he said, starting today, no wheat, dairy, sugar, coffee, soda, drugs, alcohol, or tobacco. In 3 weeks, I'll be so clear, Tom Cruise will avert his steely gaze.
Okay, I can't answer of when this was though. When was the tweet?
February 21st, 2013.
Okay, so that was long before this episode,
Interesting.
like
So
years.
he's done this cleanse
Well,
many
couple
times.
years maybe.
Well, this episode can't be that. They've done 5 seasons. What do they do, season a year?
This is season 6. There's 9 seasons. Well, there's 10 seasons.
Ah,
This is season 6.
really?
I'm talking real chronological order
Wow,
as it was filmed.
that's
This
crazy.
is season 6. I know that season 3 was filmed during 2014.
Okay, so you're right. Interesting. Well, I would wager that it's probably
Well,
a similar
2013
fast.
and 2014. But yeah, so
Either
this
way,
is far
no wheat,
past that.
no dairy, no sugar, no coffee, no soda, no drugs, no alcohol, and no tobacco. What does he have? No
So-
wheat and no dairy? He eats vegetables.
Protein and
Yeah.
vegetables.
Yeah.
Protein and vegetables. He can eat meat,
I
chicken,
guess so. Yeah.
steak.
But he can't put anything on it. No sauce.
So he's on the Atkins diet.
I guess so. He's carbless.
You were like a dog trying to get out of a pool.
That's kind of a dark joke. I thought.
That'll be
because
you
that
on the
dog's gonna drown.
22nd day of the cleanse right there.
I've never even listened to that
I'm
joke
about
before.
to go
It's
up
kind of funny.
north to Marin County and do a silent retreat for 5 days, so I won't be speaking during the film. I don't
Yes.
speak.
You are perfect for that. You're one of the few guys who is not handicapped at all
No.
by not speaking.
True.
That's Jim Carrey in a nutshell.
Now, I want to get ahead of the curve here and say that Jerry Seinfeld does not realize that handicapped is no longer a responsible word choice. He should be saying special needs. Okay. It's true.
Hold
just
on.
the way the words are.
I'm literally trying to wrap my mind around what you're saying. So he should have said, "You are a person who is not disabled
Exactly.
from not speaking."
Handicapped is an offensive word.
Well, then why is it still in the parking lots?
It's not.
Well, then I guess I can park there in the very front.
They call it
where
disabled
says
parking now. They
handicap
don't-
parking only.
It doesn't say
Nope.
handicap. Okay, well, you're right.
Uh-huh.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. My bad.
This is America.
Yeah.
But okay,
You're
so
slipping
anyways, I just wanted to say from the very beginning what you were saying about Jim Carrey and all the he's able to jump over the fence, and that's much easier for him to do to be entertaining rather than to talk about something and come up with a joke.
That's
So
exactly
what
it.
Jerry said, you're the one person who is not handicapped by not speaking, which is why Jim Carrey is the only person who could be Ace Ventura or The Mask or all those things, because he's the only one. He could do all of those movies without speaking either, and they
Okay,
would still you would still know
hypothetical
what's
question.
going on, and they'd be as
Hypothetical
funny.
question, and I think our listeners out there, once we have millions of them, we'll have some that can answer this question. But do blind people like Jim Carrey, or do they think he's kind of blah? Because they're missing like 80% of the equation.
When did you come up with that question?
Just now on the spot. Right? Because if all you do is listen to Jim Carrey, he just makes a lot of goofy noises, you know? I think he's kind of annoying.
Everything that he has done on screen in film is entertaining, though. I mean, yeah, okay, he's had a couple serious movies, but I'm talking about from what we know him the most famous from. Like he's entertaining in both his speech and his actions.
You're right, but like, so if I'm watching Ace Ventura, am I going to enjoy it as a blind person, or am I going to be like, man, this guy's a little bit much for me? Because all you're going to hear is like, like you're not going to see him swinging from the shower rod or like driving with his head out the window.
That might. That's got to be an entire genre of comedy that blind people would not enjoy.
It just
then.
wouldn't work that
Not
well.
just Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Huh. What I'm saying is, are handicapped people handicapped from Jim Carrey's comedy because they're blind? Quote me.
To all of our blind listeners out there, if you'd like to send in, just comment on this. Tell
Greatly
us
appreciate
what
it.
you think. Tell us what you think about Jim Carrey.
All right, moving on.
He is one of my favorite actors. I'll just.
I love him, but you and I
should
are
have
blind.
said that
so-
at the very beginning.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's kind of assumed, no? You did seem to disparage him a little bit, I will say. But
He's.
listen,
I
Lou,
can't.
you got to
He's
grow with
just
the times here, Cole. You
He's
gotta grow
so
with the times.
something. He is so something that I don't. Well, Jerry sees it early on, and throughout the second half of the episode, he just lets Jim talk because Jim also or Jerry also is like, it's. I'm not saying that what you're saying is not true, and I'm not gonna invalidate it. Because even if it is true, I don't think it's that healthy to acknowledge it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's some things that we don't understand, and I actually, I do think that Jim Carrey has found a place that, we don't get, and we haven't been there, and it seems crazy to us, but, he could
Does
be onto
it
something.
look like a good place?
No. No, objectively, it does not.
It
He
doesn't.
doesn't seem happy. But at the same time, he does seem to understand, like, he seems at peace. He maybe isn't this, like, bubbly, outgoing, happy guy that you would expect, but he seems at peace. When he talks about how death is like a sweet release, man, it's so morbid, but also, to me, I found it very reassuring. We'll get there, and then I can explain it more.
Yeah.
Remember your Henry Fonda was one of my favorite
On
bits.
Golden Pond. Bottom line, huh?
I have to
Bottom
have a
line,
quick
right?
little
Bottom line,
interjection
man.
here.
You want to see my...
On Golden Pond is one of my mother's favorite movies. So I just got a little blurb here, because I really like it as well. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
I have no idea.
It's an excellent, excellent film. Directed by Mark Rydell, came out in 1981. screenplay by Ernest Thompson, and it has Katharine Hepburn, Henry Fonda, Jane Fonda, Doug McKeon, Dabney Coleman, and William Latino. Interestingly enough, it won, I believe, 2 Oscars, maybe 3 Oscars. It had Best Picture. Let's see, what did we get? It won the Best Actor Award, the Best Actress Award, and Best Screenplay based on material from another medium. So, pretty
Golden Pond.
on Golden Pond. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff.
Okay.
Highly recommend the film. If you haven't seen it, listeners, check it out.
What year?
It's 1981.
I love 80s movies.
Very good. Beautiful movie. It'll make you cry. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll have a great time.
Have you noticed that orange juice now comes in a variety of pulp?
Like subtle pulp, middle pulp.
You can't take pulp.
You know about the relative and the absolute, right? The relative is the things you relate to, and the absolute is the truth of consciousness being everything.
He lost me there. He lost Jerry.
Relating
He
that
lost me.
to the
He lost
three
you.
different levels of pulp. No
Yeah.
pulp.
Just,
some pulp.
I'll comment on it after he finishes the sentence.
3 different levels of pulp. No
Yeah.
pulp.
There is no
some pulp.
There is no
Or
pulp.
extra pulp.
There is no pulp, no matter how much pulp they tell you.
No, Neo. There is no spoon. This isn't a new ideology that he's like.
Yeah, he
having
took the
some
red pill.
spiritual
Or is it the blue
awakening.
pill? I don't know.
I
just-
don't remember, but it.
I think what he's saying is that the pulp doesn't matter. Like, it's all just marketing gimmicks. Like, we're looking at the wrong things, you know? And Jerry's humor is all observational, and he's trying his, like, standard humor, which works on most people, where he goes, oh, look at pulp, huh? And Jim Carrey is, like, way past that. He's way past, like, these little, like, minutia things in front of him, and he's thinking, like, way up there. He's up there, Jerry, up there.
I mean, I agree, and I think it's good to be spiritually connected.
Oh, it's way too much. He's way too disconnected.
I don't. Yeah, that's what it is. It's not that he's so connected; it's that he's too disconnected.
Mm-hmm. Because even Jerry's like, what do you mean? What's the stuff in the orange juice then? What am I tasting in my mouth? Right? Like he's just, yeah, it's odd. Which surprises me that they still get along so well, given that, like, their humor is not compatible, you know?
I know, you're right, but it's kind of like they're able to sit next to each other and just kind of give each other nucks.
Yeah.
Because they're at the end of their careers, they both made it, and now they're just trying to figure out what to
And
do
I think
the rest
Jerry
of
is
their
also,
life.
he's capable of being a person and a comedian. And I think they like each other as people.
Well,
It's different
okay,
comedy,
here's
but
what
they like each other as humans, I think.
well, yeah, they respect each other
Yeah.
as humans. But here's what I like about Jerry, that what he's done and what he continues to do is that he made some comment to somebody, maybe during an interview or whatever, and he said, I'm still working. The guy was like, what are you going to do now? Now that just everything's over, Seinfeld's over, your stand-ups are done, like, what do you do with your free time? And Jerry's like, what free time? I'm always working. If you're alive, and who says this? Joe, I think, says it a lot, Joe Rogan. It's like, if you're alive, you still have something to contribute to the world.
Mhm.
You can make it better, or pass on what you know, or learn new things. I don't know.
Shout out Joe Rogan.
mean,
We were
that's what
featured on his
Jimmy-
podcast last week. It's
Joe Rogan. Love the Joe Rogan experience. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I
you're right.
respect a little bit more about Jerry in his coming of age and ending of career,
mhm.
is that he's still giving back.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey he's done.
You know what?
He's not
You might
giving
be
back.
right, but also when we get to the art, I was blown away by how good his art is. It's unbelievable.
Anybody can do art.
I mean, yes, but no. His art is truly inspired. I couldn't do that.
Pulp is an illusion. There are
What are
sensations,
those
there
little
are...
bits?
Alright.
in the-
To all you viewers out there, Ross and I just lost about 30 minutes of
Ah!
our
You never
recorded
would have
session
known.
here. So
Never would have known.
I can't do it. So we lost that. We're going back to where we left off, and just throwing that out there. And here we go. All right.
It was a
we're
bad
talking
30
about
minutes,
some-
so don't worry. We didn't talk about anything interesting.
It was really interesting, actually.
It was
It's a
top
lot of.
notch.
I told every secret that I had.
My heart hit the floor when I saw that it wasn't saved. So, all right, let's do it.
Here we go. Pulp
There's
in
sensations.
What are those
There
little
are
bits in the juice that I feel them?
And just so you all know, we spent about 15 minutes talking about pulp, and it's not. We can't. Both of us, we just aren't going back to it. So here we go.
very
Pulp, pulp,
refreshing.
pulp,
It's
pulp, pulp.
fantastic.
No
I
more
don't know how
pulp.
to get out of this, but
You see the crew in the background there?
oh, there it is.
Boom, one. A little further.
Uh,
There you go.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It
There it
does.
is.
Yeah, it's like
Julianne's
4
fr-
people.
Nice.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, and there's also a cameraman behind the door. You just can't see him. Like on the other side, filming. him
So
getting
that
out.
would be the person holding the boom mic.
Maybe I didn't actually see a boom mic, but there must be one. There must be a mic.
Nice. Great job.
There you go. That's,
It takes 2 to 3 weeks to produce each episode after they film it. It's
Is that it?
3 to 4 hours. They film 3 to 4 hours uncut, and then 2 weeks to produce it.
That's pretty. Actually, well, that's a long time. Actually,
Yeah, I thought so too.
it seems like a long time.
Should be able to do it in like a day or two.
A couple days. Yeah.
But it is very well done.
It is, and they have a lot of different shots, right? If it's 3 to 4
Yeah.
hours uncut from like 6 different
Yeah.
cameras, that's gonna be a lot of work. So I get
It
it.
is probably one person putting it together. Yeah.
It slices, it dices, it Julienne's fries. Anybody got some celery or some stuff they need chopped?
All right, I have some notes on this.
Okay. Wait,
Um,
before you get to the sweater, when he says Julian fries, he's not. What is he referencing? Because it's very similar to Aladdin, but it's not.
I think he's just. I don't think he's referencing anything. He's talking about
I've
French
never
fries.
seen one of these intact before. The famous Dead Sea Tupperware. Listen, still good. But then he's like, it will not break. It will not break. It broke. Right after he says it, Julian's fries. It was very similar to what he said. I don't know. All right.
You
Go
might want
ahead.
to insert a clip of that so that our viewers understand, and also send it to me because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Our viewers are cool enough. It's the
Well,
intro
what does that
to
make
Aladdin
me? Yikes.
when you're looking at the street urchin or the market guy.
I believe you. Green sweater. This part's really interesting, and I know we did have a short discussion on it, but I want your thoughts now that it's been able to stew in your brain. While he's putting this sweater on, there's no audio. They cut the audio and they dub over music, and I don't know if it's because of something he says or they just wanted to do it to like move the plot along. But there's clearly having a conversation.
I'm excellent, man.
If we go back
You know what
here-
else?
What?
Is this their set that they put up behind them, or does the restaurant have a screen sitting out there all the time surrounding the restaurant? Because look at it. Go back and you can see on the ground. It's like set up like sandbags.
Wait,
You're right. They put that up. It's for lighting for sure. It's a screen like blocking the exterior lighting coming through the windows.
You think so?
Yeah, for sure.
All that work just to
Yep.
why not stand 10 feet to the left then?
They got a lighting guy. We'll see if we can look out the window.
a-
Yeah, they for sure put that up.
That's a lot of work for one
how
shot.
you doing, officer? How are you doing? I'm excellent, man.
Well, maybe not. Could be a restaurant. Yeah, see, it's not there.
Well, yeah. Killer Cafe. The Killer Crab.
Oh, there's brass knuckles in there.
That sounds good.
The
Okay.
Cuddly Crab.
Sure, kill yourself.
What?
That's the killer cat.
Brass knuckles.
Yeah, look at. Ready?
Oh, ha!
Interesting. Killer.
I've never even taken note of the name of this restaurant.
Nah, me either. We should go. We should try to
Yeah.
visit all 72 coffee shops that they attend.
I know that you
Road trip.
are not a big SpongeBob fan, but there's an episode when he's thinking of new names for the Krusty Krab, and one of them is the Killer Crab. And it's great.
Don't say
followed
I'm
by
not
the
a
cuddly
fan.
crab.
I don't have the same like love and knowledge of it that you do. But I like SpongeBob as much as a layman would. I don't dislike it. Don't disparage me like that.
All right, to all of our SpongeBob fans out there,
What was that,
don't
Ross?
That sounds good.
don't hold this against Ross.
Please don't.
He doesn't know.
I'll have that.
Sure, kill yourself. That's the Killer Cafe.
He is on his cleanse, right? So I can understand why he's judgy about the
This is how
food
I
choice.
keep life interesting.
And I never even noticed. I heard him last time say, "Yeah, sure, kill yourself." And
It's
then
the Killer Cafe. I
he
didn't hear that
he
part.
says "Killer Cafe"
Yeah.
afterwards, and I've just
Yeah.
never even taken note.
Man, I think we need to watch each episode
Bring
5
my own
times in a row.
sweetener.
Yeah.
That's when we get the real
Here,
If you
content.
do.
I didn't even realize that he was drinking
I
tea.
used to watch you at the improv.
He's drinking tea?
when I was starting out.
Yes.
You made me laugh so hard.
That's
Look at the
rid-
Just
teapot!
started.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. That goes. I
He's
honestly
on a
think-
cleanse.
Oh, no coffee, no caffeine.
Yeah.
Oh, no sugar, no caffeine. That makes so much sense, man. I bet you that pisses Jerry off just a little bit. It's like, man, my show is comedians in cars getting coffee. Like the only thing you had to do was drink coffee.
And then, well, Jim can say, "You could have asked me any other time, but I'm on this cleanse."
Maybe that's why he brings up the cleanse in the car. He says, "I'm on this cleanse. I feel great, whatever." Maybe it's because Jerry was like, "Hey, you excited to get some coffee? Like, what do you drink? You drink it black, whatever." And he's like, "Oh no, I'm not drinking coffee." Maybe they cut that part out. I have a feeling that
I bet you
happened.
they did.
Yeah. I have a feeling that happened. He's like, "No, I'm not drinking coffee. I'm on a cleanse."
I can totally. Jerry just stops the car, just pulls over on the highway. Just, what'd you just say?
You're what? You're not drinking what? Coffee?
Do you know what my show is called? Get out. Just get out.
Fine. We'll
I
do
can't
tea.
get the door up. You're parked next to the wall. Fine.
You can slice it. You can dice it. You can julienne fries.
And you know, when I started out, I was a Canadian.
He
And
was.
him is.
How
I
did we
sent
not
a letter-
talk about that too?
Yeah, well, I
we
almost mentioned it
skipped
one
over
time,
it.
then I got sidetracked.
I was a Canadian. And then he goes, was.
Hey Ross, you were a Canadian, right? Once?
At one point in my life. The true north strong and free. Beautiful country. People are gorgeous, strong, strongly built like ox, tall.
A great day for Canada, and therefore a great day for the world.
And now, the Duchess and Duke of Alberta, of Calgary, looking beautiful as always.
You know, I heard you got kind of offended from that episode. that true?
It hurt my feelings a lot. No, I didn't get offended by that episode. It was spot on, very accurate.
Huh. I just heard you got offended. I was like, oh, that's out of character for Ross.
I've never been offended in my life.
Letter to Carol Burnett when I was 10 years old. Dear Carol, I do 120 people. I would really like to be a
120
regular on
people?
your show.
I think
like
he was
Tim Connolly and
exaggerating, or
Harvey
did he actually
Korman.
do
At
120 people?
Yeah,
He was like
at 10.
10.
Have you seen some of his impressions? Just
Well,
like
no, I know now, but
just rattling them off.
like as a
He's-
kid,
he's got a lot.
120 impressions. It's huge.
That's when there's something with kids. I don't know, but that's when impressionism. That's what it's even called. Starts. Like little kids
Impressionism, I
have
think,
this.
is an art form, like Monet.
Yeah, you're right. Jim Carrey, I'm sure, would call it an art form.
Oh, dang, you're right.
But little kids are like can do like multiple presidents, and I don't know, they're geniuses.
120.
And I'm sure Jim Carrey was a kid genius for his art.
Seems like a lot of content.
Great.
I
But
got a
you're right,
letter back in the
120 is a
mail,
lot.
And it was,
It's a
of
ton.
course, you know, one of the assistants or
I
whatever.
bet you some of them
wish
were
you
made
best of
up.
luck, and it sounds like you're doing great. I was so in heaven.
Like that.
I got a letter from Carol Burnett. And it
He
had
made it,
Television
baby.
City
A letter from
crest
Carol
on
Burnett.
it. I had struck the big time. I
don't
had
know, I
made
mean-
it. I got a letter from Hollywood.
So,
Yeah, I've got to bring it up one more time. I
Yeah.
said it before, but
He doesn't get the letter?
It's so important.
yeah.
If Jim Carrey had never gotten that letter, would we know who Jim Carrey is today?
It's a really good question. And I think I'm not existentially minded enough to answer this question. Because now we're talking about like predestination, predetermination, Destiny.
Well, no,
versus...
it's just a ripple effect, is what I'm talking about.
I know, but would there have
Would
been another
he
ripple?
have-
Would he have sent another letter to another person, or would he have just
if
given
he never
up?
got a letter back, and then the next day someone told him to stop doing his impressions and that he sucks, like
Yeah.
what if he just
I
quit
believe
it?
it.
What if he stopped doing it? But since he got that letter,
He was.
he
It
kept going,
affirmed
and
his
I'm
belief in himself. Yeah.
right, and I'm sure like kids get just pushed away and pushed down all the time by adults, and I'm sure he was as well, but because he got that letter, it gave him a little bit of reassurance just to keep going.
A little gas in the tank, a little juice in the Tesla. Yeah, I think you're right. That makes sense. I actually do think, man. Well, let me just hop in my time machine and I'll see. I'll see if I can change things. I'll see how important that letter really was. Obviously, it was important enough for him to bring it up. Like, it's a formative moment for him. He's discussing it.
Yeah.
He wants to tell us about it. So, yeah, I think it's a turning point for him.
If he didn't get that letter, who would have played Ace Ventura?
Nobody can play Ace Ventura.
When you were like really in stand-up days, what was your set like?
Well, at first, when I decided not to do the impressions anymore, I called it performance art because it wasn't funny.
So you just cut her the whole, cut it out.
So
One
is he
shot.
talking about
And
stand-up
what
or
were
is he
you
talking
doing
about
then?
art?
Yeah. Stand up. Have
But
you
he said it
watched
wasn't
his stand-up?
funny. It just wasn't funny, and he recognizes that. He was just doing this wild stuff.
I was doing like 15 minutes as a cockroach.
So
trying
when
to
he's doing
avoid
his
vacuum
15 minutes as a cockroach, is that as his stand-up sketch? Like his that's part of his lineup, or is he doing that like as a different type of performance? Like, are people coming
I think he's
expecting Jim
talking about
Carrey and
something else.
impressions, and they're getting Jim Carrey as a cockroach, and they're just
That
sitting
would
really
be funny.
confused, sipping on their
no,
on their beer?
He has full-length stand-ups. Have you seen? I mean, they're okay.
They're fine, yeah. I just mean, like, he said that he transitioned. Like, I think was he transitioning away from stand-up, or was his stand-up just becoming, like, performance-y and lazy? Maybe not lazy, but atypical.
Atypical, yeah. I would say that.
I used to do Jesus, and if that were me, the Bible would be a whole different book.
Every
You know,
time I
there'd
see
be a
this
scene where
this
I'm
bit,
on
I find it
cross
hilarious.
saying, "Wait till my father hears about this."
The way he says that, wait till my father hears about this. It's just on the cross. He's just hilarious. That's a good bit.
I have a question to pose that everyone has asked since day one,
Okay.
and we're not going to know the answer for it, but we'll find it eventually along the way. The people inside the coffee shop, in the restaurants, are they paid? Are they extras? Or are they just there?
Now, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in future episodes, there are scenes of him, like, interacting with guests. Actually, why would I say future episodes? This episode has a scene of him interacting with coffee shop customers. Now, is that because they're all done and leaving and they're letting in the regular people now? I don't think there's extras. I think it's all organic. It's got to be. Like you said, skeleton crew. They're not hiring extras to be at this coffee shop.
All right, we'll say right now it is unlikely.
I
that
think
they
we should
hired
start
extras.
paying attention. Because
Yeah,
most of the
but
shots don't actually include anyone else. Like, I think they block off the booths around them, and it's just like, we're only going to see Jerry, we're only going to see whoever he's interviewing, and we don't want to see anyone else.
But
I think
then
that's-
sometimes they're sitting like right next to another table with people at it talking about the people sitting right next to them, and they don't even look over. Also, who's not going to look over if you're sitting at a table right next to Jerry Seinfeld?
You might be right. But they could just
Except
come by and be
for
like, hey
the
guys, listen,
actors.
like, you got to act natural, you can't stare, you can't look. Like, Jerry
Yeah,
will come say hi later, but you have to, like, we're filming something here. I could see that.
Yeah,
Like, people
you're
being
probably
like,
right.
okay, yeah. I think I'm just I've never paid attention to the extras, so I'm going to try to actively see if they're acting weird or if it's just like normal people. Oof,
What
yeah,
is your
you're
name?
right. They don't make
Molly.
Molly, I'm sorry, I should've asked you, Molly. It's not really who you are anyway.
This is just the worst.
Yeah? Yeah, you'll find out different. Thank you very much.
He's just
Alright.
so pretentious.
There we go.
It doesn't
Man,
work.
we hit this hard the first time through, but we're gonna hit it even harder the second time because why? Why does he have to be the way that he is?
I
He's one
hate
of my
so
favorite
much
actors.
about the way that you are.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just
Why
so
does he
like
choose to do
he's
the
coming
things?
across so pretentious. Like he knows something that you don't know, but he's not going to tell you.
Yes.
He's going to give you a little glimpse into it. But God forbid he revealed all this information he has. No.
Because
He's,
Jim Carrey is so much on a higher level of spiritual enlightenment.
you
than
could
everyone
never
else.
understand. You just trust me on this one. You're not a Molly. You're not a Molly. Just trust me. Trust me. I know you're not a Molly.
I mean, you'll figure it out soon enough, and you'll be thanking me.
Yeah, you'll understand. You know what? I mentioned it, but I would love to look this lady up and come to find that she's like now a transgender man named Mike, completely changed, different human being. And she's like, you know what? What Jim said just it sparked a change in me. I didn't realize that I wasn't myself until he told me I
Man.
wasn't myself.
Can't believe it. If he would have never gotten that letter as a kid, that person would have never become transgender.
Very interesting. I just can't. I don't want to waste too much time on it because I think
Yeah.
we're gonna end up just beating a dead horse. But he really
Yeah.
seems stuck in this like, like he's functioning, but he's also just way out there, way out there. And this is where it shows. Like he kind of just seems normal most of the time, but when things like this happen, it's like, man, I did not realize how out there Jim Carrey really is. It's odd.
And we touched on this before, but I think this is super important to point out, and that's where is Jim Carrey in his career during this episode? Because
He's doing weird things. He's not.
it's hard to put it it's hard to tell. And the movie that he filmed right before this episode of Comedians and Cars Getting Coffee was Dumb and Dumber 2.
Which makes no sense to me. It's crazy.
So how?
Like
and I know that it was before 2014 that he kind of started acting
think it's
weird
been for
with his little
years.
depressed on. He would always give out those like slight remarks on a red carpet or something.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what he said one time. Somebody said, "What are you wearing?" And I don't know. He just like backhanded them.
I know exactly what you're talking about. We can,
But
edit in the clip.
I would
if you want.
really.
And we
yeah.
can take a look at it.
I would really like to figure out along his movie line, after which one did he start going down this trail of just like depression and
I mean, have
just
you
search for
seen
something.
Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind?
Yeah.
I feel like that would have done it. That movie messed me up. So
2004.
yeah, because that movie is like, oh my god, it's hard to watch. It really, as someone who's incapable of loving, it's hard to watch. And it's just weird
Well,
enough. That I
okay,
could see that.
actually, you know what? Now that you say that, he doesn't have a single hit after that movie.
That's the one that did it.
Let me go.
That's the one
Hold
that got
on.
him.
No way. No way. Literally, not a single. I don't want to say not a single good Jim
But,
Carrey
like,
movie because
Blockbuster.
I liked him. But yeah, nothing that we find memorable of his after Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Wow.
That's a really good movie.
Because Bruce Almighty was 2003, 1 year.
Yeah, and he's having a good old time in that movie. He seems really well-adjusted, fun, excited, and then, boom, he does this crazy, artistic, depressing, deep, and
Yeah.
just agonizing film, and then nothing, just radio silence.
His next movie after that, same year, 2004, he does Lemony Snicket. And then 2005, Fun with Dick and Jane, and then he takes 2 years off.
Terrible, and Fun with Dick and Jane was terrible. It's like he tried
He
to
takes 2 years off, and then the next movie he comes out with is the number 23.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
It is a very serious movie. It's very dark. It's about a guy who is obsessed with the number 23, and he gets involved in this murder case, and his mind starts playing tricks on him, and it makes so much sense now.
Odd. Huh. Well, he took a
Wow.
change. He took a personal change. Either way, I think that we can just emphatically say that I do not like this Jim Carrey. I like him actually like him in this whole interview, but when this like part shines through, it really weirds me out. It's weird. It's odd.
And it's not beneficial. That's the thing that I don't. Whether it's real and he is very enlightened, but you can tell that he's not happy, but he thinks it's the right thing to do, even
Yeah.
if it is, you're not helping yourself or anyone else.
No, but I don't know. I mean, what is the answer, right? I don't think there's an answer that's going to magically make him like happy-go-lucky Jim Carrey again. And we don't know how long he's been, for all we know in Bruce Almighty, he was having a hard time and he was just doing a good job covering it up. And then eventually he just said, screw it, I'm just going to let these feelings out and be weird and depressed and angsty.
Well, okay, you said, like, is there a point that he could find, or like, what's the point? Where would he be happy?
Well, maybe he always.
I want to use that example again. I don't think you liked it very much, but I think it. I said before, there's a lot of people somewhere kind of on this path of where he is and kind of trying to figure things out, and there's this spiritual enlightenment, but eventually you have to look at it rationally in a realistic light as to throughout your life you're trying to reach some type of level of enlightenment. At what point have you reached it? And then when you do, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Like I said, if he becomes the ruler of the world or the president, something, and I said the example of just like he does with Molly, you're not a Molly, because he thinks everybody is just in this world together, we need to get along, and we shouldn't label people. And
no, but I don't know if that's what he's saying. I don't think he's saying that you aren't anybody. I think he's just saying you're not Molly. You're somebody else. You're something else. You're a spirit. You're effervescent, but you're not Molly. You think you're Molly, but you're much more than that, or much less. But he's so cryptic. We don't actually get any. He doesn't say anything of substance. He just says you're not Molly.
So, okay, so you think that he believes she is a different person, should have a different name,
or that we're
just
better. Like, so I like your example was that he wants us all to be like numbers or not have names, but I think it's more so. I don't think it's like your Matrix reference. I don't think he believes in any of this. In our lives, I think he's kind of a nihilist, and he thinks that like this is not what we're made for or important. This is just a step in a path, a much longer path, where we are different beings, different things. That's the vibe I get from him, where he's like, it just doesn't matter,
When they were talking about the orange juice, Jim Carrey says, there is no pulp.
Mm-hmm.
As if it's a new idea that he has come up with, but it's not like this relativity that he thinks about now. It's when in Matrix, Neo's looking at the spoon. To all of our viewers out there, actually, I just watched Matrix last week. Neo is looking at the spoon, trying to bend it, and then the little kid says, there is no spoon.
Yeah.
There is no pulp. But I do want to I want to finish the example because I think it's important.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people in the world. I feel like it's some type of problem today that a lot of people understand what we're talking about. But like if Jim Carrey or anyone else on this path, they get to where they're trying to go, they're ruler of the world. Let's not say ruler, but they get to tell everybody what they think is best and what's right and what we all should do. So let's get rid of names because we've become too individualistic and materialistic, and we just need to all live together in harmony. So we're going to get rid of names. So no one has a name now, and then people start needing things. You have people coming to you, and you have to do something for a person. So you're like, all right, we're gonna give everyone a number now, just to kind of get a logical system working for everyone. So now everybody has a number. We're not labeled by it, but it just gives us something to identify us for logistical purposes. But then you have people going, well, I'm number 5,700,000,000 and something, and this number's too long, and I hate this number. And then, so now Jim Carrey's like, all right, fine, we're going to give you all names so that we can all help each other out and get it. So you can't get to, there's no feasible level to reach here, and that's why I can't stand it, is because
I also think like
there's no rationality
if
from it.
he knew the answer, he would tell us, but he doesn't know. Like, he pretends he knows, and he's on this journey, but he doesn't know. Like, if he had this discovery, this answer that
because he's searching for an answerless solution.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't. Yeah, well, I don't know where we go from that. I think we just gotta. We have to just recognize. I have it written down. All I wrote was after this section, I said Jim Carrey is weird. That's what I wrote. And I think that we just need to realize that Jim Carrey's a weird guy, and that's.
And I love the guy. He's still one of my favorite
guy.
actors.
Yeah, and that's it. He's just a little bit weird.
Well, he's definitely changed.
Yeah.
Philosophically about comedy, people come here to feel good about themselves, and a laugh is actually a feeling of a superiority to something.
So there has to be a childlike fun to it. You can be angry and smarter than us, but make it fun for us.
I still get caught up in the small.
I just caught this one this time, is that he puts the word in there, actually.
And a laugh is actually a feeling of a superiority.
It's real.
Oh, thanks, Jim. You're so smart. Man, laughter is actually
a feeling of superiority.
Actually.
Oh. Actually, no. A laughter is a response, a neurological response to something funny. Is he saying that getting a laugh is a feeling of superiority? Like, I'm controlling you?
No. He's saying laughter itself is actually, as if we don't know, because we're not smart enough to come up with this ourselves. Laughter is actually a feeling of superiority.
I don't even understand what that means.
I mean, he's right in some aspect of it, and Jerry agrees with him. It's kind of.
But Jerry reframes it.
It puts you in a place that you. Yeah, in a rational perspective.
Yeah.
To something.
So there has to be a childlike fun to it. You can be angry and smarter than us, but make it fun for us.
If that guy doesn't, how could they do that to the small me?
Because that's in everybody. But
Ross, I believe you said you also do this 2 times a day.
I said more than 2 times a day, where I just like I like take a step back and I look at myself, not in a mirror. I look inward, and I go, man, I am
wearing clothes.
Yes, well, sometimes. I'm naked. I'm on a leather couch. I'm sweating. The lights are red. No, sometimes I just have to pull back a little bit.
The art of seduction.
Timeless. I just feel like sometimes I get caught up in my own head, and I like stress myself out, and I get angry about things, and then I'm like, wait a second, that's stupid. Don't be angry about that. It's not even worth thinking about. And whether it's coworkers, employees, family, that guy who cuts you off in traffic, it just does, like, none of that stuff matters at all, you know? So I actually do find myself being like, man, my small man's getting a little amped up right now for no good reason.
Okay, there is definitely a difference though, because his small man is in his head, and it's not reactive by things that are happening to him during his walk of life. It is things that he's coming up with in his head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'm not trying to say I am like Jim Carrey. I don't think anybody's like Jim
Carrey.
No,
I know. I'm saying your small men, the small men you have are different, and it just shows how bizarre he is now, because your small man is normal. Yeah, people get upset
but
when they're
my
cut
life
off in
is
traffic.
So boring and normal, and his life is so different. And, like, comparatively, he's on a totally different path.
I guarantee his life is more boring than yours right now.
Yeah, you're probably right. He's out there painting all day, smoking a bunch of weed, eating peyote.
Do you think he does drugs?
Well, in his cleanse, he says no drugs, and I don't feel like
he must do drugs.
Yeah, well, if I was gonna tell you a cleanse I'm doing and I don't do drugs, I wouldn't put in no drugs. You know?
Right.
I would just put in the things that I'm cutting out of my life, not the things that aren't in it already. So, yeah.
Now that's interesting. I've never looked at it from this perspective. Not saying that it changes everything, but I don't know.
But I thought he was sober.
I've never looked at him as doing maybe doing like cocaine or something during his early days.
I thought he went
when he
sober after like boozing it, but we can find out. In an interview with 60 Minutes, I'm very serious about no drugs, no alcohol. Life is too beautiful. That's when he was 50 years old. He said that.
What?
He said,
what year?
Terry has been public about his struggles with depression, describing it as a low level of despair. He did take Prozac for a period of time. However, over the long term, he has learned that curbing all mind-altering substances, including coffee, and dedicating himself to spiritual growth is the best way to keep his darker side at bay. That's why he's weird, is because he's not on antidepressants.
I totally forgot. I saw this. You said 60 Minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. He has oh my gosh. Can't believe I forgot to. He has a little shack at the top of a mountain in the woods.
Uh-huh.
It's not even a shack, it's a lean-to.
Okay.
And he sits up there. And just meditates all day. In the rain.
He's such a weird guy. But I mean,
because he
good
took,
for him. I mean, maybe that's the right path.
Well, I mean, if you need it because he needs rehab, then he's doing it.
Well, what I mean is like, you know, maybe antidepressants work for 95% of people, and maybe for someone like Jim, it's the wrong thing for him. Maybe he needs to be a little crazy and in his head and try to figure it out spiritually. And
but he said no coffee either, right?
Well, imagine him on coffee. He would have flown over that fence, right over top.
Hey, maybe that's why he was the way he was, because he had too much coffee, and he's like, I gotta cut that out.
I drink a lot
because
of coffee.
he doesn't like being addicted or relying on substances.
Yeah, he likes to live 100% in the now. Very interesting. All right.
Could he do that if he wasn't rich? He would be a different person.
Yeah, well, I think money would probably increase the likelihood of you indulging in expensive drugs.
No, I'm talking about him though, personally. Just imagine. I know you're trying to move on, but real quick, imagine, would he be how he is now if he didn't have so much money?
Well, no, because
no.
But that
says something. That says a lot.
Because it's his life. Like, he is the way he is because of his experiences in his life, and his life is about making money. Like, he made money. If he didn't make the money, he never would have been the actor, the famed actor that everyone. He wouldn't have had the adoration and the. I don't know. I think it's a non-starter.
I'm saying he wouldn't have the time to think about this kind of stuff right now.
I guess if he had to go to a day job and.
That's what I'm saying is that I guarantee his life is more boring than yours is right now.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because he doesn't do anything.
Neither do
Jim Carrey, I don't mean to say that you don't do anything.
Jim Carrey's gonna knock on your door. He's gonna go.
You're doing things. Listen, I already said I love him, and he's one of my. He's been ever since I was growing up, one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
But they don't.
I do think
they don't know that at the end they're going to be so relieved.
We're all changing.
Death is going to be such a welcome freaking moment.
I'm gonna spend just 10 seconds on this, and then we're gonna keep going because I know our viewers are desperate for more content. But death is gonna be a relief. I just think that's really poetic, and I know he's a little crazy, and I know that we've been kind of like pushing him down a little bit here, but I do think that's actually really reassuring to me. Like, death is going to be a relief. It just seems nice, you know? You've been working your whole life, even if it's been a beautiful, great life, you love your family, you love your kids, you're content, you can just stop everything. It just is, finally you can just, it's done. And that's exactly what he
Because they've
says.
been trying so freaking hard.
Well,
and that's the feeling.
You know why?
And I can
because
get
he's had the
there
opportunity to
sometimes
stop, and he's realized
I'm gonna need one
how
more cup
peaceful
of
it is.
coffee to get there.
And Jerry's like, I don't get it, but okay.
He's like, I got a job to do.
I love that movie.
I mean, honest to God, that was like a possession. And once I decided that, all hell broke loose. I remember before that movie started, my friend Nick Cage and me went to
My
dinner.
friend Nick Cage.
Nick said,
Yeah, I love that. Have you seen Andy Kaufman?
I have not, no.
I haven't. I don't even know anything about him except for that he's an eccentric person, and I saw him last week when I was watching the best of Steve Harvey on Family Feud.
No, I feel that I'm woefully undereducated on this section of the video. Now, Jim Carrey did like method act as Andy Kaufman, right? I think that's kind of what they're talking about. But I never watched it. It's on my list. I'll watch it eventually. But
yeah, same.
It's so hard to put that on when I can just watch comedians in cars getting coffee over and over. And over. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to let our viewers. This is the viewer response section. They can send us emails about Andy Kaufman. We'll read them. We'll read them next week.
So he did go. He said the death thing. This whole thing that we were talking about for like the last 15 minutes. I would honestly like to hear what our viewers think about Jim Carrey in this entire.
Yeah, I will
section.
say, and I think we need to put it to rest a little bit. But I will say, while yes, he's kind of crazy and he's not the Jim we used to know. I don't dislike the path he's on. Like, I think it's an interesting character arc. If I'm just looking at this as a person in the theater watching the movie of Jim Carrey's life, I think it's an interesting arc and an interesting change. And I don't think we'd be talking about Jim that much or caring about him that much if he was just doing the same old thing. You know, he'd just be, oh, another great, funny Jim Carrey movie, and then that's it. We'd just stop talking about it. So I think it's kind of
possible that he's stuck. Is he stuck in character? If anybody could get stuck in character, it's Jim Carrey.
One day he's gonna wake up and just, whoa, where did the last 20 years go? What the? Who is this man? What is this beard? All right.
Nick said, I gotta
Even
go.
Nick Cage, his
Your
good
eyes
friend,
are
was like,
different.
man, I cannot even
don't
be
know
around
you
you anymore.
Nick Cage.
Uncomfortable.
It's hard to make Nick Cage uncomfortable.
Hard
It's
to
true.
weird him out.
It's hard to weird out Nick Cage because he's like crazy himself.
Thank you so much.
No,
Molly.
please, I understand.
I've not seen Nick Cage.
Okay,
actually.
this part's
Off
important to
screen.
me. So I wrote this down, and I think this is really interesting. So this is all pre-planned. They've got the venue. They've set it up. Like the people know. They're not just surprising some coffee shop owner. The coffee shop owner knows they're coming in, right? They're getting marketing, all this stuff. They could very easily, why are they paying the check? This is what I really like, that they make a point of them paying the check, because
You know why?
theoretically, like, there's no need to pay the check. Like, they're probably paying the restaurateur, or at least there's this marketing deal. Like, hey, we're gonna give you exposure, this and that. But I think Jerry cares so much, because he said that he's a really good tipper because he is Jerry Seinfeld. He's quoted as saying that, and he's like, man, if I don't tip well, then I'm gonna be Jerry Seinfeld who doesn't tip well. I think he's so vain that he wants
says it on
people,
one of the episodes.
yeah, he wants people to see him paying. And he wants to do, like, it's a Seinfeld bit, right? He wants people to see the reach, like, the offer, and like, no, I got it. Like, it's part of the episode. He wants it there. Because there's no need for him to pay the bill. Why is she writing up his check? Like, it's weird, right?
So I agree and I disagree. There's definitely two opposite stances that you can take on this, and that's literally just that he finds the entire process of the bill paying to be hilarious, and he has it in so much of his stand-up, and
he'd think it would be weird if he didn't pay the bill. He just got up and walked out.
But then, there's also people that probably think he does it to exert his power.
Maybe it's just because he's funny. I just think it's like they could have very easily had that there. Just like, okay, we're done, and got up and left, and no one would. I don't think any would have been like, oh, they didn't pay, right?
I disagree with the people that say it's because he's trying to exert his power over his guest or show his viewers of him paying the bill every time.
No, I think he just wants people. He doesn't want people to think that he's like a cheap bastard. He like he said, people have to know that like I do tip well. I'm a nice guy. I care.
It's not that. It's not that. I don't think it's that at all. No, I think it doesn't have anything to do with what people think of him. It's literally just because there's so many things in Seinfeld that make it into the show that are little just like situational abnormalities that he's picked up on throughout life, and he'll put them into the show, but you're not going to see them like in any of his stand-ups, and he doesn't actually acknowledge them. He just acknowledges them just enough in the show to play him out, to be like, oh wow.
Wants this to be representative of an actual meal and coffee at an actual diner with an actual server and an actual bill, even though it's all pre-set up and kind of fabricated and there's
And
lighting, and
he loves the humor. He
yeah,
loves
but
the humor in the
he
bill.
wants it to be like an authentic. He thinks it's funny. That's interesting.
Start
It's like
peppering
Jerry's like
him.
standing,
Roddy's
like, okay, I'm ready to go,
Who the hell is this guy?
and
He's laughing.
Jim just won't
hysterically
let
at
it
my
go.
dad.
He's gonna sit on
And
the
then
bench,
started,
and
like,
he's like, I
talking
got
about
another story for you. I want to
birthday,
keep
and
talking. I want to keep you
personally
engaged.
doing
And Jerry's like,
God,
okay,
man,
we
he's
paid the
the
bill.
funniest
Let's
guy I
get moving
All
here.
right.
I'm gonna try as best I can. I'm gonna go for the record now.
I love this part. Before it goes, I wrote this down. Watch his eyes. As the drop falls out, he like rolls his eyes down really, really like emphatically, and it's hilarious.
Oh my
You
gosh.
know, it doesn't take
Like
much.
he doesn't look down. I want to
feel
watch
good
it again.
about-
He doesn't like move his neck.
Oh,
He
it's
just like
Nosferatu. Says it on his shirt.
oh,
That's amazing.
awesome.
You know, it doesn't take much to feel good about yourself.
And I love
There's
that too.
nothing
It's just
less
a
than
little
that.
win.
Cheers.
All it takes is a little win.
No, but Jerry's comment after is even better. He says, "There's nothing less than that." Just ruining Jim's entire day.
It's so funny. Yeah, you success. You're right, because Jerry, from his perspective, is probably like, you know, that's a bullshit thing to feel good about. Like, yeah, haha,
Yeah,
it's funny.
oh,
It doesn't take much to be happy, but like, try doing something. You know,
Jerry
try doing something
hates-
actually useful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he thinks that's dumb.
He hates fake.
You don't deserve
I don't know.
praise for doing nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Fake praise. Yeah.
For putting his
Cheers.
But I think it's funny. It's still a nice perspective. And he claps, and everyone claps, and Jerry, you can tell he's just like, aha, yeah,
Look
yeah,
at his
so
eyes.
stupid.
But do you see that though? Nosferatu.
Yes, I do. Nosferatu. He's just, but he likes him. You know, they get along still. I love it.
Doing stand-up.
Paddleboarder, interesting footage for him to put in.
out and you catch some waves.
Oh, that's a good parallel though, because he's saying it's like stand up. You know, you just paddle out and do some waves, and they're cutting in this footage of the guy paddling out.
No.
It's
I guess
simple.
I never heard him say that. Hey, you're gonna
Commercial.
kill
Oh,
me.
something I love in there.
I gotta pee real
Fantastic.
quick.
There's
Okay.
3 minutes left, Cole.
I have to. I have to.
Enjoy your pee. And we're back. We're back. Dun,
What'd
dun,
you talk to
dun,
them
dun,
about?
dun. I looked at my phone. Didn't even say a thing.
Gosh, millennials.
And I expect you to keep that whole thing in there. All 5 minutes of dead silence. All right, here we go. And 3, 2, 1. Yeah. We started with the car. We end with the car.
Next, Le Mans. I don't even know if Le Mans exists anymore.
It does, but you don't.
This is
say
where they're
it
running
like
out of
that.
things to
Le
talk about.
Mans.
That's French for the lemons.
Le Mans.
That's because Jerry has lost interest.
Yeah, I
He
mean,
knows
it's just,
they are
they've
not on
done
the-
it. Jerry just wants to go home. Jim just wants to go home. Like, I don't blame him. There's not much to it now. We'll talk about lemons. Wow, lemons.
Stupid shit makes me laugh. Why is that?
And Jerry's like,
It's not
stupid shit.
stupid.
So I like that, because Jerry doesn't like stupid shit.
It's not
He's
stupid.
intelligent about his comedy, so it's not stupid. Like, it's funny because it's not stupid. Stupid stuff is
He
not
enjoys.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He enjoys even more than the humor of things. He enjoys why things are humorous.
Yes, exactly. So that was funny. But, like, if it was stupid, he wouldn't have found it funny.
So you're gonna show me the studio today?
Yeah, man,
Messed
sure.
up. I mean, it's pretty impressive art. I'm pretty impressed by it.
And
It
come on
seems
in.
Thank you
very
so much for showing me
Yeah,
this.
well,
Like,
you're the only one
commercial.
who's seen it.
well. It means
love
something
this.
to him. I don't know about commercial. I
This is
feel
the
like
room for me.
maybe it's something you
Yeah.
find in IKEA. It's either something really beautiful or a stock canvas art you find in IKEA. That's the.
Oh, it's very.
It's a fine line.
Looks very grand scale.
Yeah.
Also, one of my favorite lines of this whole episode. What does he say? You're the only one that's been in here.
Yeah.
That's a lie, right? It's obviously a joke.
I don't know.
This
I
is the
can't tell.
room for
I
me.
can't tell.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it were actually true.
It's probably
But
true.
it's
But
gotta
then,
be-
do you
can't be
think
true.
Jim Carrey carries his own paint into his studio, or does he have somebody drop it off? Like, look at all that paint. You think he did that himself? Set it up like
Oh yeah,
that?
somebody. He meant. Yeah.
So like,
He meant person, as in not somebody just dropping off cans of paint.
yes. But he doesn't consider that a person. None of us are people. Duh.
And I just
We
love
don't exist.
paint. I love the colors. I love everything about it.
I mean,
Yeah, the gorilla with the
his
machine
art
gun,
theory
I
seems
got power there.
good. I'm impressed by the quality of the art. It seems well done. Beautiful. It's a stand-up stool.
I'm
This is
curious as to
America.
when he started painting.
Now this one's interesting. Did you see? It was the Mona Lisa, not the Mona Lisa. It was the Statue of Liberty, and then it said,
No.
"We'll go back." It was the Statue of Liberty that he painted, and then no vacancy in a neon sign over top of it. It's coming up here. There. So it's like
Ah,
we don't have room for immigrants. That's my read.
that's pretty funny.
No
That's kinda
vacancy.
funny.
Yeah,
Very, very political.
that's weird. That's a
Are these
self-portrait.
canvases?
Very
Yeah, those are
depressed.
canvases.
Getting big.
Well, if you build it, they will come.
Weird
Field of
quote.
Dreams.
I do love Field of Dreams. It's a great movie. So
You want,
don't-
You want to know how I know that Jerry is disinterested
why?
so much? No. Why would he say? Why would he repeat the name of the movie that needs not be named? Field of Dreams.
Yeah. he's got
Everyone
nothing to
knows
say.
that's Field of Dreams.
He's got nothing to say. You're right.
The entire next 3 sentences that Jim says, all one-word responses from.
Jerry, I think Jerry just wants to go home. He's a little tired.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I
Mhm.
feel the same. Ah. That was a dig.
I love that movie.
our own
At the
podcast.
end,
You sob. There's no way not to sob.
No
I
way
was-
you can't.
I wasn't. I got it. That's good.
Sob.
Can't.
There's no way not to sob.
No
and
way you can't.
that simple thing of like, let's have
It is a
chat,
really beautiful
spend your
movie.
time with me for a second,
Mm-hmm.
is so
Right.
insanely ingrained in us.
That is a great description of why is that moment so powerful.
Just a
Yeah,
moment.
Jerry just
What
seems
I
to be
told
like
you the other
placating
night.
him.
The other night, it's so you're gonna see it a lot more often. There's this thing. Can I just give a quick overview of what this thing is?
Please do.
In a comedian's mind. A comedian's mind is very obscure and has a very short attention span. Therefore, when somebody's talking to them and they are not well versed, or they're tripping over the words, or they're losing track of what they're saying, the comedian will start losing or diverting their attention to the person's physical features rather than the words that they're saying. So they will be looking right at them and have absolutely no idea what the person just said for like the
It's
last
just-
10 minutes.
Right.
And then they'll start giving the one-word responses.
Wow. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's great.
Right. Yes. You're totally right. Jerry's there. Jerry's like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. I'm done.
Did you watch what's his face? Judd Apatow?
No.
Because it's the worst one to use that example. Oh, out of all episodes, that one is so bad.
Oh, we'll get there. Don't worry. There's the only one I don't like is Howard Stern, but we'll have lots of time to talk about that.
Also, okay, and the comedian is very quick in their subconscious, will come to a conclusion about the person while they're talking to them without realizing that they came to a conclusion, but they've already gone from day one to the rest of this person's life, and they have them summed up because this person is uninteresting. And that's what Jerry looks like he just did here with Jim. I don't believe he did, but
I think he
it's
still likes
possible.
Jim. I think he's just had enough. You know, he's had his
Yeah.
fill. He's over the
Makes that moment so
novelty
powerful.
of the
Just a
interaction.
moment.
I want one of those.
Spin it,
by the
yeah.
way.
Whoa. I love his look on his face. Jim is just, he's gone. His brain is just using
I could
another world.
disappear from show business forever and feel wonderful about what I've done, what I've experienced.
I think
I've
that's what
been
he wants to
given,
do.
But I am always grateful that wherever I go, somehow I did something that makes people brighten.
This seems like an in memoriam video. I feel like he died and it's like this, they're cutting
That
together
is a
this video of like,
wonderful
well,
thing
rest in
somehow.
peace, Jim Carrey. Go ahead, let's hear it.
So sad.
It is sad. It almost seems like a
Because he
like
just
a
said it
suicide
himself.
note. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it's a suicide note that he just verbally said
It's a
himself.
career suicide.
that
Note. Like
his
I'm glad I was
career is
able to
dead.
make you happy, and I'm just done. Yeah.
And I'm glad that he's still at least able to acknowledge that But
Mhm.
why does he have to stop? He doesn't
Honestly,
have to stop.
I just think
Nobody's
he's.
forcing
I
him.
think he's tired of it. I don't think he's got his
I
heart's
think
not in it
no.
anymore.
For some reason, he's got in his head that he's being so, like people are preventing him, don't want him to anymore.
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
so. I
that's not
honestly,
true.
it's just a lot of work. I think he's just tired. He's an old man now, and he's done his work, and he's had his movies that weren't very good, and he's dealing with his mental health issues, and I think he just is tired of it, and he's disassociated now, right? Like now he realizes that it doesn't even matter anymore, and that's yeah. I don't know. I'm okay with it. It just does seem very like ominous the way he words it and phrases it, which is why they have to put in this little fun blooper clip at the end, which isn't often in these episodes, but they're like, we got to dig ourselves out of this depressing ending that we just were with like the Charlie Brown music in the background. We need to get some fun in there. Oof.
Mom, you'll get addicted to this. It's so good.
This weirds me right
I
out.
gotta share it. Hold it.
And his response,
It was awesome. Did
You
it
are
feel good?
so sexy.
so weird.
I love it.
Final thoughts on the episode? Are we doing a rating system? I don't know. We can't rate these episodes. They're just all.
It doesn't matter because they're all 10s. Even the
Except
bad
for
ones
Howard
are
Stern.
great.
Hey, Howard Stern. Excellent episode. A lot of fun. Weird, but it's nice because it gives you like that. It just gives you an inside line on Jim Carrey's really strange mental health thing. And what I like about it is if it was anyone other than Jerry, like if it was Barbara Walters, she'd be like poking and prodding and trying to figure out what happened and why he is the way he is. And Jerry's just like, let's just have a cup of coffee or tea and joke around and try to enjoy ourselves, and you can be as weird as you want to be, and I'm just gonna act like I always act, and that's we have a nice time, and that's it.
Jerry is very respectable in that manner.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I love about him. That
Yeah.
you're right. You're not going to find that in many other people.
No,
Because
most
they're-
people would have an agenda. They'd be like, what can
Yeah.
I figure out about Jim Carrey? Well, I'm gonna shock the world with this. But no, he just wants to. He respects his views. Pokes and prods a little, makes fun, but he's not like, yeah, it's nice. Really nice.
Jim, where'd you go? Come back to us, Jim Carrey. That's my
He's in another dimension now.
that's my summary of the episode.
We'll miss you.
Just come back. We miss you.
There's more good for you to put into the world, Jim. There's more.
There really
Thanks,
is.
This is me knocking on your door. Get in here. Come outside. Get in the sun. Stay a while. I think that
I had a blast.
I had
that
a,
was
I had a
fun.
wonderful time. I'm a little exhausted.
I
My
really
brain
hope that
hasn't
if,
been working
if,
this hard for a while.
if a lot of people see this, this is such an interesting episode because of just all we've had to talk about with Jim Carrey. I'm really interested to see what other people think and just ideas
I
from
completely
the viewers.
agree. It was a very it's a good one to open up with, to start out on, I think. Especially we're working out the kinks here. Bear with us. We're only going to get better and better and better. But yeah, I mean, I think you come for the show, but you stay for the characters. You stay for us. You walk in the door for Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, but you stay for Cole and Ross. I think we should open at the close, as the Harry Potter quote goes. We should end off kind of similar to how we started. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Ross.
And I'm Cole, and this is Comedians
In Cars
Getting
Coffee. The podcast. Oof.
Woo!
Take a sip of coffee.
See you next time. Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee podcast is not endorsed by Columbus 81 Productions, Sony Pictures Television, or Netflix, and is intended for information and entertainment purposes only. The official Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee show can be found at netflix.com/title/80171362. Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, the Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee logo, and all names, pictures, and audio of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee characters are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Sony Pictures Television, Netflix, or their respective trademark and copyright holders.